Thank you to LightStream for sponsoring today's video.
LightStream Online Lending offers loans for credit card debt consolidation. You can roll your cards into one low payment at a fixed rate as low as 5.73% APR with autopay and excellent credit. With LightStream, you can get a loan from $5,000 to $100,000 and there's absolutely no fees. You can even get your money as soon as the day you apply. LightStream believes that people with good credit deserve a better loan experience, and that's exactly what they deliver. You can also lower your interest rate and save with a credit card consolidation loan from LightStream. Just for our listeners, apply now to get special interest rate discount and save even more. The only way to get this discount is to go to lightstream.com/redpoppyranch. Their rates range from 5.73% to 19.99% APR and include a 0.50% autopay discount. Lowest rate requires excellent credit. Terms and conditions and offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/redpoppyranch for more information.
It is about that time of year, and the shallow well and the two water tanks need a little bit of attention. And by attention, I mean bleach. If all goes well, this is the last time that I will put bleach in these two tanks while the tanks are sitting at this location. The next time I add the bleach, the tanks should be underground. All day long that pump pumps as the sun hits the solar panels. It's a progressive pump, so it's slowly pumping up the hill to the water tanks. So the little bit of bleach that I put down there will get pumped up through the water lines all the way up to the tank. And then a little bit of bleach I put in the tanks has the option now to come down as well. If I put too much bleach in it, I'm gonna burn the grass, and I don't think I did, but I'm gonna run just enough water on the grass to try and get rid of some of that chlorine. And then once I feel like I've gotten that chlorine through the system, I'm gonna change the filters. This is something I typically do twice a year. I'm a little bit late getting to it this year, but either way, it really doesn't matter. I don't put anywhere near as much bleach in the water as I used to. I put probably a cup to cup and a half in the shallow well as well as both of the tanks. And then I let the ultraviolet light that I have inside the house handle the rest of it. So. Get out of here. I'm currently sitting on public land. This is the fence line where we stopped up at that tree. This is where I stopped with the new fence. Right back behind me, about 100 yards back behind me, is where the fence stops. Now, at least 10, 12 years ago, the family that originally owned all of this land, which is now I own part of, it was a 500-acre piece of property that was part of an old family ranch. And I think it was around 2007 or 8, that family lost the land. They couldn't pay the payments on the land anymore, and so that 500 acres went back to the bank. About that same time, the fence between public and private land somehow all gets removed. So now the landowners up here are left with the aftermath. And so far, nobody else has taken any interest in fixing this fence. But every night I have to push anywhere from 30 to 50 cows back up onto the public land, because if I don't, they're in my backyard. I took out that fence that separates my land from the new land, and that allows the cows to go wherever they want. So I've decided I'm going to take a couple of hours every day and just hike up here and get this fixed. So they walk up around the fence that I've fixed, and they find an opening, and they wander through my property, and the cows actually walk over 2 miles down to another cattle guard, where the cows think they're going to get picked up and taken back home at some point. These cows have been up here for so long, for so many generations of cows, that they know the schedule. They literally know the schedule up here. But the cows are not supposed to be hauled out of here for at least another month. And so for the next month, every afternoon, I'm going to have to push cows back up here. I have to cut any trees back that are in my way, and I'm going to try and just spend a couple of hours every day for the next couple of weeks and see if I just can't get it done, because I'm tired of it. Nobody else is going to take care of this, so it's ultimately on me to get it done. So yeah, I got my own stuff to do. It would be ideal that I could spend my time other places, but like I said, if I don't fix this, then nobody else is going to fix it. So. After cutting my foot with a chainsaw nearly 2 weeks ago, I had to take a couple of pretty strong antibiotics, and I was starting to feel like I could do this kind of work again, but I'm about to get a reality check that is just not the case. I'm a little bit more worn out than I'm aware of, but I still tried to work and get as much of the fence line cut back as I could. But I quickly recognized that if I didn't put that chainsaw down, I might be right back to where I was a couple of weeks ago. I cannot wait for the day where the fencing and the cows are in the rearview mirror. This is a good part of the reason why I'm just not interested in cows on our place, because I get to deal with somebody else's cows every time I turn around. So once I get this fencing all fixed and repaired, from that point on, it's simply a process of maintenance. But this is about the moment that I realize the gas tank is getting pretty close to empty. It's time to get these rain gutters reinstalled, but what I'm going to do different than I did the first time is I'm going to take the time to accomplish two things. I'm going to take the time to make sure that, number one, that it has fall. And then I have to make sure that the gutters are low enough that when the snow slides, that it doesn't damage the gutters, but yet still high enough that when the water runs off, that the gutters catch it. So I didn't do this the first time. Shocking, I know. What I'm going to do now is set some braces in place and set the first piece up and find that happy medium. I'm going to mark it. Then I'm going to snap a string line all the way down so there's no way that I mess this up. If I had a quarter for every time someone asked, why don't you collect your rainwater, I'd have at least $3 in quarters. The truth is, we have the single best rainwater collection system on planet Earth. The rain comes out of the sky, goes down into the ground and gets filtered, finds its way into our shallow well, gets pumped up to our storage tanks, and voila, we have all the water we can use. As I've talked about in the past, even on the driest, longest summers, that shallow well always has an abundance of water in it. So to collect rainwater would be a waste of energy, if you ask me. It isn't that I wouldn't mind having more water stored around here. I've talked about adding another 2,500 gallon tank to the 2 that we have already. So yes, we love the idea of having a large amount of water available to our family, but storing water in cold country is a challenge. So I want to keep it to a minimum. It's probably been at least a month since we've had a serious rain, and I can see that the weather's changing and it's likely to come. But at the end of the day, because of our extremes with weather, I have yet to find a reason to collect rainwater. That being said, if it ever got bad enough where I actually had a real concern about how much water we had saved around here, I could very easily convert these rain gutters into some sort of a storage system. Again, because we're working with a little bit of a hillside, it wouldn't take a whole lot to do this. But again, to spend time and money on something like that right now doesn't make sense. I'm better off putting my effort into an underground storage shed where I can keep at least 3 of those 2,500 gallon tanks safe from the cold and the heat. And then ultimately from that point on, it becomes about water management and how we use it. But as I said, even in the driest months of the year, we always have an abundance of water. Like the first time, I've had a number of questions about these rain gutters, and I'll put a link in the description to where I got them from. These rain gutters were manufactured by Burger Building Products, and they are by far the best rain gutters we could have used. Not only are they incredibly heavy duty and durable, but they're unique, they match the house, and it ties everything together beautifully. Sometime in the past, I watched a documentary about a couple that lived in what's called an earth ship, which is specifically designed to collect water and keep water waste to a minimum. And because of how that earth ship was made, they only used 2,500 gallons of water per year. $2,500 gallons of water might get us through the weekend. But we use a lot of water, whether it's with our animals, or washing clothes, or watering the grass. We use our water without a whole lot of concern because we know our shallow well can provide us with what we need. But let me say this about the fence. This land has been used for ranch land for a long, long time. Much longer than I've been alive. And for me to sit and complain about the cows that wander through my property is probably a little bit disrespectful to those that have worked so hard to use this land up here as ranch land. But that being said, it's now our land. And we get to do with that land what we want to do with it. And I didn't plant all the grass and the grass seed around our place to feed somebody else's cows. So once and for all, I need to get this fence fixed from top to bottom. Then you'll never hear me talk about it again. That is, unless a cow pushes its way through the fence and I get to go fix that fence. And then of course you'll hear me complain about it. But what's left of this fence is basically a whole bunch of T-posts and some barbed wire laying on the ground in front of the T-posts. So I get to go back and try and reinstall this old barbed wire, which really should be replaced. But I've already spent a few $1,000s on somebody else's fence, so I'm trying to keep the new barbed wire to a minimum. But more than likely, this fence was originally installed probably back during the Depression or shortly thereafter, and it was likely paid for by government grants through a program that created what are called shovel-ready jobs. Now, I'm the shovel, and I guess I'm ready. So again, hopefully, once this is done, it's done once and for all. Come on, Ruby. Get out of here. few months ago, I put my first gen Dodge dually up for sale after I got my new truck. And that was right when diesel went through the roof. And so naturally, I had a little bit harder time selling it, but I wasn't going to give that truck away because it was just too clean. I got a text somewhere in the middle of that from a guy a couple hours north of me that had this old Bombardier Snowcat. And the first time he texted me, I told him no. And what his text basically said is, hey, my machine is worth way more than your machine, but it's middle of the summertime. You want to trade? And so we traded straight up. I knew this thing was worth more than my Dodge was, and I knew if I was patient, I'd get the money out of it. So I listed this for sale for about double what I was asking for my Dodge. And again, it took a couple of months, but as we're going over the other side of summer, all of a sudden I started getting a couple of texts. Last night I got a text from somebody in southern Utah that said he wanted it. So he put some money down on it, and he is currently driving up here. And I have a little bit of regret selling this thing because as I just started it and drove it, the thought I had was it'd be fun to hang on to this thing and play around with it a little bit in the wintertime. But because of the width, and it's a little bit big on the hillside, I don't feel safe trying to move this thing around. But I will find a smaller version of this. So I still have that little Cushman Traxxter up there on the hill that's waiting for me to do an engine swap in that. And I'm definitely going to do that with that little one. But there's a mid-sized Bombardier. It's actually called a Snowcat. This one technically, I don't think is called a Snowcat, but everybody just calls them that. But there's a mid-sized machine that's a little bit bigger than that Cushman Traxxter that I have. But they're around. I found a couple of them in Colorado. And at some point, I'm going to replace this with that mid-sized Bombardier Snowcat. Again, if I can find a good builder. But in the meantime, it's ready to go. The thing started right up, drove right down the hill. The guy's supposed to be here in about 3 hours. So what? Drive careful. See you guys. So in our next video, you're gonna get to see me and the backhoe. I rented my nephew's backhoe for more than a week, actually. You're gonna get to see the beginning of literally this entire hillside right here getting moved around. So the propane tank can be relocated up here, as well as the new garden area can be created. The solar panel mounts are gonna go away, all kinds of fun stuff. So we will see you guys in a few days.
Heath's family ranch up north of us has a lilac bush, and so I got some of the clippings from the ranch and I wanted to come down and try and plant them at my house. So Dixie's gonna help me because I've never done this before, and I'm pretty sure she has. She's an expert.
Not an expert, but I've done it a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
So this one, it turns out to be a little bit too woody. You want to get as green as you can, and this one's already decided he's going to be wood. This one isn't so much. It's a lot smaller, and he's got these nodes right here. So you can, I don't know if the camera can see, but you have these little sets of nodes, and those could potentially be where the roots sprout out. So that one's a really good bet. And then when you get into this, again, this is a woody stem, but if you get up into the smaller pieces, we're going to try that. Normally what you'd want to do is in late winter and early spring, when he just starts to get the green growth, that's the one you want to grab and try to propagate. So we'll try it, and what you do is you just kind of scratch it with your fingernail over where those nodes are. You dip it in the rooting powder. I got this just from the local grow spot. You dip it in the rooting powder, and you can either put it in water and let it sit in a window that's not in direct sunlight, just kind of normal light, or you can put it in soil. So we're going to try both ways here. I've also heard, wives' tales that you can dip the roots in powdered cinnamon. I'm not sure if that works. I've never actually tried that one, but we could try it if you have some cinnamon and just do experiments. But 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of nodes. So at the bottom here, I'm just gonna make a diagonal cut like that. So you can kind of see we've got some fresh stem right there. And you dip this down in to your water, and then you dip that, and you wanna cover a couple of those nodes like that. Kind of shake off that, and then you can just put it in. It's gonna take maybe 6 to 8 weeks for this to figure it out. Okay. So he's pretty thick, he's wooded out. You can see like there's one set of nodes right here. You pull the leaves off and we could still try it. Like this guy.
Just because it's green.
Because he's a little more green. And then just kind of, I forgot to do this with the other guys. Just kind of take your fingernail and agitate it a little bit so it's like, wait, what? Cover that node, shake off the rest, and we'll just put him right down in here, and then we'll water him in just a minute. But he has less of a chance than these guys because he's that much more mature. And so much of gardening is just experimenting and trying new things, right?
Right.
Like who figured out that maybe cinnamon would work?
Yeah.
What are you doing there?
Let's just try it.
You know, let's just try this, let's try that. Okay. But guess what? We'll know in about a month.
Yeah.
I just soaked them, but I would keep that soil really moist
Okay.
all the time.